going on, Jerome's? So you've had, well, not a day, but half a day to have your little funeral and pity party, and the Vikings are frauds, and they're going to be one and done in the playoffs. You've had some time to get that all of your system, but we got some truths, 10 Tell the Truths on Tell the Truth Monday. So let's get started. Number one, the defense is the weak link, and that's LMAO, obviously, but 400 plus yards in 5 straight games. They're going to be dead last in the league in yards allowed. The whole bend but don't break defense is like, we'll stop him between the 20, or you march between the 20s, we'll stop him in the red zone. It's like, cool. The Lions went 2-2 in the red zone, also threw 2 40 plus yard touchdowns. But other than that, you're really, really good. It's fantastic. And this is going to cost them, where if they don't make any changes on defense soon, this defense, as constituted, is going to have the Vikings be a one and done in the playoffs, including if and when they host a playoff game in the wild card round, which, I don't know, it really sucks. It does, especially since the offense is starting to get rolling. Kirk Cousins is playing some of the best ball of his career. Justin friggin' Jefferson is still wide receiver 1, and it's frustrating right now. And we need to see what Kevin O'Connell is going to do, because this is a major test. Because no, the defense is not his side of the ball, but he is the head coach. He needs to be the head coach of the entire team, and it is up to him. It is his decision to either lean on Ed Donatel to get more aggressive, which he alluded to in his post-game press conference comments, or fire him, replace him. And mainly because, number 2, the lack of pass rush is embarrassing. Now, I was going to say that secondary communications and miscommunications, rather, is pretty embarrassing too, but we'll get to that. But the fact that you have Za'Darius Smith, who was leading the league by far in terms of pressures, really dropped down a peg or two. I think he's still top 5. And then you have Daniil the Real Deal Hunter. You have Za'Darius and Daniil, and you are unable to get any sort of push, any sort of semblance. You got zero stank on Jared Goff. I think you blitz 9 times out of 41 snaps per ESPN Stats Info. You got 2 pressures on him out of those 9. How is that possible? I don't get it. It is not an issue of talent up front. So maybe it is scheme. It's possible, but you have 1 sack in the last 2 games. Pass rush makes everything easier. And when the Vikings were rolling, when they were getting turnovers, it's because the quarterback was being moved off the spot, made bad decisions, and because of the pass rush. So it's absolutely just embarrassing. And number 3, firing Donatel may not fix it, but it's something. Actually, I shouldn't say won't fix it. May not fix it. But you got to do something, because this team has been very good about not pointing fingers and just say, hey, we're busting our ass over here and you guys are getting your ass kicked. It hasn't happened yet. But the fact that this defense has been a sore thumb for this team the last couple weeks, I mean, the Vikings, they should have blown out the Jets. They should have blown out the Patriots. And I was going to say they probably wouldn't have blown out the Bills. But you know what's keeping those other teams in? The defense. The defense is absolutely keeping these other teams in games. So, I mean, as this offense is growing and showing, and, it's Kevin O'Connell's baby, it's his side of the ball, even though maybe sometimes he takes too many chances or gets a little bit too creative for himself. But they got to do something, because even if it's just symbolic, and even though they'll probably elevate Mike Pettin from assistant head coach to DC, where he's got 10 years of DC play calling and head coaching experience, maybe that'll be the case. But it's something. Like, Kevin O'Connell needs to show that, hey, we are trying to fix things. We have 4 weeks to go in the regular season, and we're rolling into the playoffs. We're limping in as of right now. We need to get something rolling on that side of the football. Just at minimum, be more aggressive. Like, I don't care if you blitz on every single play and it was, what's the worst that can happen? You get burnt for 400 yards and give up points. That's what's happening right now. All right, so get some pressure up front, get that quarterback uncomfortable, and then all of a sudden, guess what? If the pass rush is getting there, secondary all of a sudden magically looks a lot better, because they don't have to cover for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seconds. It's ridiculous, man. Next up, Tell the Truth Monday, number 4. That was Kurt's best game as a Viking. And it isn't just because he put up 425 yards passing, but he was 31 of 41, 75+%, 2 touchdowns, a 124.5 quarterback rating. But the fact that he was doing it without 2 starting offensive linemen, he was under duress all damn day and just sitting in the pocket, knowing that he's going to take a shot and just dropping dimes and distributing, mainly to Jefferson and Hawkinson, but also Thielen and KJ got in there as well. You can win a lot of games with this offense and this version of Kirk Cousins, but You can't if your defense is just giving up yards and touchdowns and yards and touchdowns all the time, man. But, I mean, if any idiot wants to say that it was Kirk Cousins' fault on Sunday, that's someone's opinion that you don't need to take seriously ever again. Number 5, Jefferson will break the single-season receiving record. So, he technically has the Vikings single-game record because they only count the regular season, so Anthony Carter's 227 doesn't count, but is what it is. So Sammy White's 210 record goes down, 11 for 223 yesterday for Jefferson. Currently 99 catches for 1,500 yards on the dot. He's on pace for 1,961 yards receiving. The record is 1,964, set by Megatron in 2012, but I'm sure he doesn't care. I mean, I'm sure that he would have taken 3 catches for 14 yards and a W, just like he did week 3. But, I mean, the Vikings, he is that alpha wide receiver 1, and he is getting it done at times against premier cornerback talent. You know, the Trevon Diggs game notwithstanding, because that was a mess from start to finish against the Cowboys. But I do think that Jefferson will break the single-season record. Yes, he has an extra game to do it, but no one was saying boo when people were breaking 14-game season records when it expanded to 16 games. So Jefferson is that guy, wide receiver 1 in the league. Next up, truth number 6. The Vikings need Darrisaw and Bradbury back. And if it had been a playoff game on Sunday, I think that Darrisaw and Harrison and Bradbury probably would have played, but Kevin O'Connell alluded to, you know, making sure these guys are healthy for the stretch run, but I need him back. I mean, Darrisaw is one of the best left tackles in the league. Blake Brandel was fine. Bradbury greatly stepped up his game this year, not only in leadership, but also in pass blocking, which was his weak suit. And Schlutman, so Brandel and Schlutman were fine, but 71 and 56 were just those dudes. And it's really shocking. The worst offensive lineman yesterday may have been Brian O'Neill. Like, he was getting cooked consistently by Aiden Hutchinson, both in the run game as well as in pass protection, but is what it is. But having one of the best young left tackles in the game, as well as currently a top 10 center, having them back in the lineup, all of a sudden you can run the ball a little bit better. You don't have that mess that they had against Detroit, and then all of a sudden you're protecting Kirk Cousins better, and hell, maybe this offense can outscore the defense. Who knows? Next up, number 7, truth. Harrison Smith is defensive MVP. Now, this would have been Za'Darius Smith early in the season, but the fact that Harrison wasn't out there against Detroit, and Detroit went right at it. I mean, their OC Ben Johnson, as well as Jared Goff, attacked Josh Metellus mercilessly. They went after Cam Beasley as well, because I think Beasley was sort of stuck out there trying to work with Metellus, where he gotten very comfortable working with Harrison Smith. But both of them just had so many miscommunications. Beasley got lost in coverage a number of times, leading to touchdowns. It was just a mess all the way around. And Harrison Smith, I mean, without just him not being on the field, was probably worth a touchdown plus for Detroit. So need 22 back. Hopefully that neck issue that he had crop up late in the week is going to be good to go, because, I mean, these last couple games, we'll get into why, but they're gotta have it. They're absolutely gotta have it, man. Next up, number 8. Dalvin Cook won't be back in 2023. Now, in the middle of the season, I was like, maybe we bring Dalvin back, but it's clear that something is off, right? So, how many times this year has it seemed like Dalvin just got tripped up, like that close away from breaking one, and when it goes for a running back, it goes. And he's only 27. He's going to be 28 next year. But, I mean, his Detroit game was just atrocious. Like, yeah, he scored a touchdown. Cool. But he had that fumble on what would have been the jump pass. He had 1.5 yards per carry. And part of it is, yes, you're down 2 starting offensive linemen. Both Darrisaw and Bradbury are very proficient and prolific run blockers. But also, you know, Lions were selling out to stop him, and the Vikings didn't adjust. And it's just rough, man. Plus, he has a $10.4 million base salary, none of it guaranteed, a $14 million cap hit. So the Vikings easily could and should move on. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that is the business. Next up, number 9, 2-seed or bust. So looking at the NFC standings right now, the Vikings are in the 2 seed at 10-3. Niners, fresh off their shellacking of the Bucks, are sitting at 9-4. And the Eagles at 12-1. Yeah, probably not going to catch them. Yeah, it's okay. But the 2 seed is better than the 3 seed. Mainly because you get the weaker of the wild card teams, which is fine. People are saying, oh, what if Detroit gets a 7 seed? We don't want that. Bring it. Revenge tour all the way along. Plus, so say after wild card weekend, all the home teams win. It's unlikely with the Bucks, but Yeah. So the divisional round is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, there's a slight difference between if you're the 2 seed or the 3 seed. So the 4 seed obviously goes to the 1 seed because it's the lowest remaining seed. And guess what? The 3 seed visits the 2 seed. So the Vikings, between the 2 and the 3 seed, could be the difference between hosting 1 playoff game and hosting 2 playoff games. And also, I mean, if some weird stuff happens, it's possible that you could get yourself an extra home game if the Eagles do get upset, which would be kind of nice. Would be kind of nice. But remember, the first tiebreaker, absent a head-to-head, and the Vikings didn't play the Niners head-to-head this season, would be conference record. As of right now, the Vikings are 6-3. The Niners are 7-2. But if they can just keep pace and keep a game ahead of San Francisco, they'll be good to go in that regard. And lastly, point number 10, Tell the Truth Monday. The NFC North is still ours. Now, I get that people are still bitter about what happened against the Lions, but the only way the Vikings can lose is if the Vikings lose out and the Lions win out. So 0-4 and 4-0. Probably not going to happen. Well, the Lions could win out. It's possible, but the Vikings are not going to lose out. And I understand, like, oh, but they certainly could, blah, blah, blah. No, the Vikings will hold on to the division. They should beat the Colts. They should beat the Giants. The Packers and the Bears, who knows what's going to happen in those random road games, but they should take care of things. Is a 14-3 season in the offing, maybe 13-4 at minimum, hopefully. So even though, yes, Sunday leaves a bad taste in your mouth, but it is what it is. The Lions are playing some great football, except they start off the season 1-6. That's why their ass is in a sling. They're 18% to make the playoffs. So we'll see if they can make a run. And them making a run is less about them and more about how the Seahawks and the Giants are just completely falling over themselves. Just ridiculous down towards the end. But we'll see what happens. But hope is not lost, and I know it's tough after a loss to just try and see some positivity. But the Vikings are 10-3. The Vikings are still a win away from securing the division, or with the Lions' loss, so they can get the T-shirts and hats out. And this team, I mean, the offense can clang and bang with any team in the National Football League. Like you saw what happened. The Vikings put 27 points up on the Jets, one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Vikings put 26 offensive points up on the Patriots, one of the best defenses in the NFL. The Vikings put up 33 on the Bills in their building, one of the best defenses in the NFL. So this offense can score with the best of them, and the defense, like, they're not going to shut anyone down cold, but can you get a turnover or 2 or 3 here or there? Can you actually get some gosh darn pressure on the quarterback? Would like to see that. So they need to make some changes fast on defense. Do it now so this doesn't bite you in the ass in the playoffs. But that's it. That's 10 truths on Tell the Truth Monday. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skol, production value.